Matt Campbell has the Iowa State football program headed in the right direction. Now the question is, can the Cyclones take a big step forward this year and reach their first bowl game since 2012? Our Cyclones.tv Iowa State Football Media Day special begins right now. "30 days from now, Jack Trice Stadium will be packed for the season opener against UNI. A lot of work to be done between now and then, much of it right here in the Bergstrom Football Complex. And it all begins today with Cyclone Football Media Day. Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm John Walters. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We do this show with a bit of a heavy heart with the news last week that Eli Rashid's son, O'Shea, was killed in a tragic motorcycle accident. Much of the coaching staff will be making its way back to Ohio today for the funeral, so our show's going to be rearranged just a little bit, but our thoughts and condolences are certainly with Eli Rashid, his wife Caprice, and their family at this very difficult time for them. Here's what we're going to have for you coming up on the show today. We will visit one-on-one with head coach Matt Campbell. John Haycock, we think, might join us. If not, Tyson Veit will fill in his role. Tom Manning will not be with us. It'll be Jim Hoffer talking about the offense a little bit. We will have 7 Cyclone players. And from the Cyclone Radio Network, Eric Heft will help us to wrap things up. But we begin right now with Matt Campbell. And Coach, the first week of camp wrapping up right now. How has that first week gone for you?
Yeah, you know, it's been really good for us just to fully be back with our kids. You know, the summer allows us so much now to at least watch the growth of our guys and, you know, periodically be with our football team and work maybe on skills that a football doesn't allow, you know, during that summer months, but us to allow us to work on some of our crafts. So we've been with those guys, but to actually start to put it all together and teach and watch their own growth, watch what's happened in the last 3 to 4 months with our own players. It's been really fun to see, really fun to work with. And now, as we head in kind of the meat of what fall camp looks like and feels like, we're going to have a really good understanding of at least where we are as we get ready to begin this campaign.
You talk about raising the standard. It's kind of been the slogan for the offseason. And it's an important message, but it really wouldn't work if you didn't have guys that thought it was important.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have guys that think that's important.
Yeah, and I think for me that whole raise the standard was our entire approach, not just winning and losing football games, but how we take care of our bodies, you know, in the offseason, how we lift weights, how we apply ourselves to our craft. And, you know, that aspect I told our kids a week ago before we let them go home for a couple of days is, can we really, I couldn't be prouder of what you've done. You know, your investment into this program, your investment into yourselves. I've never seen a group of kids come together and invest like I've watched you invest. So it has been really rewarding to watch our kids do that. We've had some great leadership to be able to do that as well.
And you've changed your summer workout plan to put guys together so they're working out with guys kind of within their position group, their skill set. Tell me how that's affected things.
Well, you know, I think the biggest thing it allowed us to do is where and what did we need to get to this point to be successful and to give us our best chance of success. And, you know, I think we looked at all of our position groups and said, coming out of spring practice, if in 3 or 4 months we're getting ready to play a football game, what are the skills, the qualities? Is it strength gain? Is it speed? Is it, you know, is it within your own craft? What do we need to do to get ourselves better? Let's develop a plan, and then let's put our kids in that position to do that. So, you know, our offensive and defensive line, for an example, young guys, we needed to continue to get bigger and stronger. If our emphasis was on speed training all summer long with that group, we failed that group to give them the tools to be successful. But I think we gave them a great platform. You see the growth in them. You know, our wide receiver, a more veteran group. If we said it was just about getting bigger and stronger, well, you know, we're failing because they need to work on their craft and they need to work on speed development and some of those things to take the next step. So that was what was really big for us, John, and trying to give our kids the tools to be the best they possibly can be come into the fall.
Well, let's start off by talking a little bit about that offense and the offensive line you mentioned. That affects the running game. And last year you had 3 different guys go over 500 rushing yards. It was good, but it wasn't great. 4.3 yards a carry. I know you'd probably like to get that up closer to 5 yards a carry as a team this year.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it all a lot of that really does reside on our ability on the offensive line to continue to make great development. I will tell you, in some ways, it's a similar situation we come into as last year, where it's a lot of new faces that are going to be playing on this offensive line. The nice thing is, we actually have some cornerstones this year that are guys that have had experience. Julian Goodjones played started 11 games in Big 12 football, understands what that looks like and feels like. Getting a guy like Jake Campbell back is certainly a huge addition, who started and played in meaningful games here. So that part's really big. And then the rest of those guys, a lot of those guys have been in our program. They've been with us a year, so maybe they haven't played in all those games or gotten all those live reps, but they've gotten quality reps in practice, and they've taken advantage of it. So I think we're certainly ahead of where we were a year ago, but some similar challenges that we had a year ago to certainly where we're at right now.
And you should be ahead of the curve with the passing game, too, because you mentioned so many receivers returning, and, of course, Jacob Park returns with some experience at quarterback. And now you had tight ends that are a threat. That passing offense should be improved this year.
Well, I think we're all excited for that aspect of it. Jacob having the ability to be the CEO and really understand what's going on and what we're trying to do and get accomplished, that part's been really, really big from our end. To see the receivers and the competition that we've got across the board for catches and opportunity, really, really big. So I think collectively that's going to be a big part of what we are and who we are, especially early in the season, as we kind of nurture that offensive line in and kind of see what that group is as well.
Rush defense, coach, an area that probably needs to improve more than anything for this team to take a big leap forward. It was good at times last year, but at times it wasn't. How do you think you could shore up the rush defense this year?
Well, again, it's much like the offensive side with the run game, it's the same thing on the defensive side. It's the defensive line, and that group really coming into its own and understanding, gap sound defense, understanding, the ability to get off plays, the ability to let our linebackers run sideline to sideline and make plays. And, I think collectively as a whole tackling better. And, but it all starts up front, and it starts with our ability to understand that. I think the one thing we've already seen is we've been in a system now for a year, and comfortable understanding growth within that system has really, really been fun to watch our own defense come together. And, we've already seen it here early on in fall camp. That group is a lot more comfortable, and, defensive football is so much more about reacting and having the ability to react and play rather than think. And you see our group playing a lot faster right now.
And I think it's going to be a more physical group up front, too. Coach, let's talk about the secondary. And I thought a year ago, pretty good. Third in the Big 12 in pass defense, yardage allowed-wise. Maybe didn't create as many turnovers as you would have liked, but a lot of that goes hand in hand with getting pressure up front, and you didn't get as much of that as you'd probably like either.
Yeah, I think the games you saw us get pressure and consistent pressure, you saw the turnover margin go way up. And, I think the one nice thing for us is anytime that you're talking about playing great in the secondary, it's got to start with two cover corners. And, you look at that group for us, and you talk about Payne and Peavy from the get-go. We're really fortunate to have two guys like that are not only, high-end football players, but they're high-end leaders on our football team. And then you couple it with a guy like Kamari Katmoye anchoring the safety position, and some really great competition for that other spot at safety, and some now created depth. I think that's the one thing we look at that group, much like the wide receiver position on offense, and you see depth, and you see guys that can play. And when you do that, you create some multiplicity for who you want to be defensively. So we're excited about our secondary. We're excited about that group, and certainly excited about the leadership of that group.
Well, I'm excited about the season and your staff and your players. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, Matt. I know you have to catch a flight, but I do appreciate you taking the time to visit with us.
Thank you very much.
And can't wait for 30 days from now to get it all started.
Yeah, I'll see you.
Coming up, we'll visit with quarterback Jacob Park and hard-hitting safety Kamari Katmoye. Plus, defensive coordinator John Haycock stops by. You're watching Iowa State Football Media Day on Cyclones.tv.
The 2017 Nissan Altima and the new 2017 Nissan Rogue. Cars that could help stop when you don't. Take on the unexpected. Nissan Rogue and Altima with available Intelligent Safety Shield technologies. Get to Nissan, a proud partner of the Iowa State Cyclones.
Go Cyclones!
It's been 60 years since I came up here to watch football. I've seen a hurricane that rocks and a tide that years, I've seen hustle, perseverance, and heart. I've seen a bowl of cotton that's anything but soft. Some call it hard work, determination, or grit. I call it blimp-worthy.
Back at the Bergstrom Indoor Facility, our coverage of Cyclone Football Media Day continues as we visit now with Cyclone quarterback Jacob Park, who got a few starts a year ago, played a lot of football, and Jacob, I thought, got significantly better as the season went on. How has that helped your confidence as you come into this year? And I know you're a pretty confident guy to begin with, but you have to feel, okay, I've been there, done that a little bit now.
Yeah, it definitely just gave me some time to get used to the game. Big 12 is a pretty fast-paced game. I didn't know as much as I do now back then, but I just went out there and played and had fun, and just kind of gave me the confidence, like you said, to know I can go out there and compete. And if I prepare for the games like I am now and go in there and do it, it could be interesting.
Where do you think you've improved most since the end of last season?
In my preparation for the game. I know how to watch film. You know, I know that sounds funny, like you know how to watch film, but there's really a technique to it. There's a process to it, and Coach Campbell and these coaches have really got me on a whole nother level of preparation. So I think that's going to be the biggest difference between last year and this year.
And probably hand in hand with that goes maybe consistency, which, you know, Matt talked about. That's the biggest thing he's looking from you this season, is the ability to carry it over from game to game and from snap to snap and possession to possession, having that consistency.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what the key to that is mentally.
It's preparation.
Yeah.
It's knowing, for me, it's knowing the ins and outs of everything before it even happens. I got to know why I'm doing it, what we're trying to accomplish, and how I need to get it done. And once I know the thought process and where to put my eyes and what to read, I mean, it just, the rest of the game comes natural to me. To throw the ball and to do all the extra stuff, it's just easy. The mental thought process is the hard part. So once you prepared your mind for the game, I mean, playing quarterbacks, like,
That's the easy part.
When you're prepared, it's fun, man.
Well, last thing for you, Jacob, you do have a really good group of receivers to work with. That's got to be exciting for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Allen, Lazard, Keem, Matt Eaton, Chase Allen. I mean, I could keep going down the list. Yeah. I mean, we got depth at receiver for sure, and it's definitely going to be a fun year.
All right, well, you have a great season.
I will.
Looking forward to watching you play. Appreciate you taking the time. And this Iowa State passing offense did some really good things a year ago. In fact, averaging 258.8 yards through the air per game. That's a school record. And the Cyclones return a great chunk of that receiving yardage as far as the receivers that are back on the roster this year. So plenty of reasons to be excited about the Iowa State passing game, but you also have to worry about stopping the pass. And that's where the secondary comes into play. Kind of the leader back there in that secondary, back for his senior season, is Kamari Cotton-Moya. He joins us now, and Kamari, it seems weird to talk to you about your senior year because it's flown by. I mean, it was not that long ago you were sitting here as a redshirt freshman and just kind of getting ready to play that role, and now here you are, it's your last go-around. Do you have a little sense of urgency about this year with everything on the line?
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, I just got to do it for my team this year and make it count. So this year I'm really excited to put it all together, and it seems like it's all going together. So.
You know, last year we saw you have a knack for making big plays. You've really done that throughout your career, but big plays and big hits. When you notice that you do something like that, do you see the whole sideline kind of pick up emotionally when you can make that big play and get them riled up?
Of course, playing defense, you know, that's something you feed off. Energy is something you feed off of, and everyone feeds off each other. So playing the defense and a big role in the defense is something that I love to do, and you know, I'm just trying to put everything together this year and make it count.
So much experience back there in that secondary with Brian Peavy and DeAndre Payne. Even Everett Edwards has played a lot of football. Reggie Wilkerson played at Georgia. Tell me about that secondary as a whole and the fact that you're not going to have to rely necessarily too much on young guys in the starting lineup.
Oh, well, I mean, it's going to be great. This year we got, like you said, we got a lot of experience, you know, and the defense just coming together. We got a good front seven this year. The coaches got a great plan for us, and it seems like it's going to get ready to go. So, I mean, we're working hard right now, and fall camp is here, so we're ready.
Well, the fans really haven't had a chance to see Reggie Wilkerson at all. Tell us a little bit about your cohort there at safety. How does he look?
He looks great. He looks good. You know, you can tell he's been working. You can tell he's been preparing for this. And like we always talk about, he's so excited for the second chance he got to play at another Power 5 school. And he's ready to go. You know, he helps me get better. I help him get better. And it's gonna be a great year for us.
Last thing for you, Kamari. Coach Campbell talked today about the unity of this football team, and he thought that's what might separate it from past teams, that you guys really kind of came together and believed all off-season that if you did buy into this thing, you could do something special. Have you sensed that? Have you noticed that among your teammates?
Of course. You know, football is a team sport and it's a self-sport. You know, so you need every single person on the team. You need every single player, and with that being said, you know, we just have to bring it together a little bit closer, especially on the defense side. You know, 11 as one is 11, so, you know, we have to fly to the ball. And when we fly the ball, we got to make it fun once we get there. So I think that'll be the big separation for us.
Well, it sure will be fun to watch the season unfold and see how things go for the secondary. And I know you're going to have a great senior season. There's no doubt in my mind you're going to have a lot of fun out there. Stay healthy, have a great year, and thanks for taking some time. Appreciate it. Kamari Cotton-Moya, our guest, and the Cyclones, as we mentioned, do have a lot of experience in that secondary. There you see it. Kamari has started 27 games in a Cyclone uniform. DeAndre Payne, 8, and Brian Peavy, 21. So that's 62 combined starts when you add everybody in the secondary together. That's a pretty good amount of experience returning back there, and that should certainly help this football team going forward. The man who's in charge of the safeties and will be coaching Kamari Cotton-Moya, Reggie Wilkerson, who we just talked about, and in charge of the entire defense is John Haycock, Iowa State's defensive coordinator, who joins us now. And John, the young man we just talked to, Kamari Cotton-Moya, his ability to have a great senior year, I think, could go such a long way for this entire football team, this entire defense to be successful.
Oh, no question. You know, all those guys, when you get to be a senior and it's your senior season, as I told our guys in the very first meeting, our seniors have to play the greatest football they've ever played in their career. And most of the teams I've been around, when that happens, you have an opportunity to have great successes.
You do have some experience back there in that secondary with Kamari and DeAndre and Brian Peavy, older guys. Everett Edwards, Reggie Wilkerson's been around for a while.
Sure.
That has to help you sleep a little bit better at night as a coach.
Well, yeah, I don't ever sleep at night. When you're a defensive coach and you coach the secondary, why, I don't think you ever sleep at night during season. But, no, it does. I think those guys, their work habits, their work ethic, their effort and attitude is outstanding. Those guys have done a great job for us. And, it's fun. It's been a good experience even this fall of they can start to fix the problems that are happening on the field themselves. And that's when you got coaches out there playing, and that makes a difference.
Let's talk about your rush defense, and you get bigger. I know Matt really wanted an emphasis on being a more physical front seven. When I look at you guys in practice, it certainly looks like a more physical front seven.
Yeah, we added some guys, and the guys that were here added some,
Right.
So all of that together, we're led with the seniors, Vernell Trent, and obviously J.D. up front, and with Ray and Matt being added into that mix. And then the young guys, Shaquan and Josh and Jamal Johnson. And, there's a group of guys. Carson Lensing has just grown out of this world and really bring a lot to the table. And again, we've added ourselves some depth there.
And the rush defense, I thought, at times was very good last year. At times it wasn't. What's the key to getting it more consistent?
Oh, I think, again, another year in this whole system and understanding, and I think us as coaches understanding who we're playing against in this conference, and it is different. Wasn't as different as I guess I maybe thought it would be, but I think we all have a better handle on what we need to do to have successes and how to have some success. And again, it all starts with the people, and those people up front make a lot of difference.
Well, to have success in the Big 12 Conference, you certainly have to have a good pass defense. And Iowa State was third in the Big 12 in pass defense a year ago. We've talked about some of these guys that return. But I'm guessing the one thing you'd like to see a little bit more of is forcing turnovers, which kind of goes hand in hand with getting pressure up front. We just talked about being bigger up front.
It does, and opportunities. You can't get turnovers without attempts, and we stressed a lot of that, and I think just the habits of trying to do that. I've been in this college game for a long time, and the teams that win the turnover margin win games. It's just the way it is, and it's crazy that you spend all of that time. We like to tell our players all the time on X's and O's and scouting reports and this guy and that guy, and at the same point in time,
a turnover here and, getting a takeaway over there and all those kind of things, that makes a ton of difference.
What's your take on how Joel Lanning's doing at linebacker?
Oh, he's doing well. You're talking about a guy that's just came over there. So every day is a work in progress for him. And the good news is he's working and in progress. So you feel good about it. He's got a great attitude. The players respect him for who he is and what he did for this team. I've been in this business a long time. What Joel Lanning did for this team is remarkable. And you can't go a day without watching him be out there and have great respect for what he's done. And I think it's made a huge impact just on the chemistry of our team.
We've talked a lot about the Big 12 and its offenses and the pace. And in this conference, you need a legitimate 2D. Do you feel like you've got better depth this year than you had a year ago?
We're working there, John. In all fairness, I think that's still a little bit of who those guys are going to be. We do have some numbers. I'm not sure a year ago I felt like we had numbers. I think we have numbers, and I think we have quality numbers. Where all those pieces are going to fit, that's our job between now and the first part of the season. So I think we do have more pieces. Now we've got to figure the right place for all those pieces to fit and give us the most depth, and try to find, we talk about pairs and spares, and trying to find a pair of Mike linebackers, and maybe a spare that can play Mike and Will and Sam if we need to. So we still got some work to do. We're still trying to match up the pieces to the puzzle, but it sure is fun having a few more pieces to try to put it together.
Well, that's what the next 30 days are for.
Absolutely,
and,
no question.
Got to hit the ground running this year.
We will.
Got to be good early. Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, thanks, Joe. I appreciate all you guys do.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Up next, we'll visit with offensive coordinator Tom Manning, plus running back David Montgomery and linebacker Willie Harvey. And still to come, you'll hear from Joel Lanning, Brian Peavy, and Alan Lazard. Stay with us.
What if we ran one more sprint? What if we spent one more hour? What if we did one more rep? What if we believed we could beat anyone in the country? What if we raised the standard? Why not us? Why not now?
Back at the Bergstrom Football Complex, where Jacob Park is holding court, and he looks to lead an exciting Iowa State offense this year. We promised you offensive coordinator Tom Manning. We did not deliver. Tom is in flight to Ohio with the other coaches. Jim Hoffer, the passing game coordinator, was kind enough to step in and help us out. And Jim, this offense has a chance to be really exciting because there's a lot of veteran pieces returning, and then that offensive line, how quickly that comes along, might just dictate how good this group can be as a whole.
I think everybody who's a football fan understands that you tend to go the way an offensive line or your ability to play at the line of scrimmage can take you. And that's where there are some veteran people.
Right.
Maybe some who have played some football but not a ton, and others who have. But we have a chance because of what's happening at the line of scrimmage, which includes tight ends. We'll have a chance to keep growing and getting better because they have grown and they have gotten better, which is great credit to not only Tom and his ability to lead those guys and to understand where they need to improve, but you really have to start with Rudy Wade and his strength and conditioning staff with taking big people and making them bigger and even in greater condition.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch that group, and hopefully they can pave the way for some pretty good running backs. I believe you've got a good 1-2 punch, about as good as you're going to find with David Montgomery and Mike Warren. And what was neat was to hear Coach Campbell talk about how, as last season unfolded, those two got closer and closer when human nature would make you think they're going to be pulled farther and farther apart. It was the exact opposite.
Well, you give Matt, you give Lou Ianni, you give the players as much credit for that as you possibly can. But these are really talented young guys, and they're not the only two that are talented. But Mike was an over 1,000-yard rusher for a season so far in his career. David came onto the scene as a true freshman, and I don't know that there's anybody that really loves football and all that goes into it for preparation more than David Montgomery. We're very lucky and we're very unique in having two guys of their ability, their size, and now their experience as we go into the 17th season. And yet there's more behind them that are going to give us a chance to keep working. A running back is a high impact position. And so those guys are in great shape to be able to handle the rigors of what goes on when you're a running back in big-time college football.
Well, in addition to being the passing game coordinator, you coached the quarterbacks, and you took this unknown entity that was Jacob Park last year, and he ended up, I thought, having a very good year, given the circumstances. What have you seen from him in the offseason to get you even more excited about Jacob and the passing game this year?
I think Coach Campbell has probably had conversations with you and others about what Jacob's growth has been literally in a calendar year. At this time a year ago, he wasn't practicing because he had the mumps.
Right.
And so his training camp was stunted just a little bit at the beginning, but he arrived with us in the summertime. So until coaches can be with a player, there's not going to be too much growth. He's grown tremendously from a mental standpoint with what we asked our quarterback to do. He's grown physically. Coach Wade, again, I think will say Jacob's always been a good guy in the weight room. He knows how to work. He's willing to work. So he's grown. He had experience. He played quite a bit in mid-October through the rest of the season, played very well. And I'm not sure he's even the same player now as what he was at the end of the season. He's better.
What's exciting is the group of receivers he has to work with, and it's so versatile. I mean, you can go big, tall, rangy receivers. You can go that M position. You've got Trevor Ryan, and you've got Deshaunte Jones, and some other exciting young players. There's a lot of versatility to that receiver group.
I think Coach Campbell, again, would say we have significant depth. We have significant depth at receiver, both in some guys that are big and long and in other guys that are really quick and shifty. We have experience when you talk about Alan Lazard and you talk about Trevor Ryan, and really you talk about the experience of a Marchie Murdoch, who as a transfer, he'd been playing at his previous school. He's now going into his 5th year in college. We now started getting, at the end of the season, good play from Hakeem Butler, and the list kind of goes on and on. We're in an enviable position, in my opinion, and what those guys continue to do and how they continue to grow as receivers now makes a big difference in a passing game that we believe can continue to get better.
Jim, have a great season. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate you doing this today.
Thank you, John.
All
Go
right,
Cyclones.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, we've talked a lot about young players and the impact that they've had on this Cyclone program. Look at these 4 freshmen who earned honorable mention All-American honors in 2016. Deshaunte Jones, the top receiver as a freshman in the Big 12. David Montgomery had a terrific season at running back. Kene Nwangu at running back and kick returner. And then Jaquan Bailey at defensive end. So a lot of young guys did hit the field right away and have an impact on this program. One of them was David Montgomery, and he joins us now. And David, your coach talked about you today in glowing terms about your work ethic and how excited you are to play the game, and they have to drag you out of this facility. You want to be in here all the time. For a guy who's kind of a gym rat, that's the greatest form of flattery there is.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I'm more so just trying to better the team, trying to make sure I get myself better individually so that I can, help the team in the future. So,
tell me about your transition from a high school quarterback to a running back at the college level in the Big 12. It's a big jump, and you did it pretty gracefully in year 1.
My transition was pretty solid. It was the same for me, catching, running the ball, because in high school I ran the ball a lot. So I more so just tried to focus in and lock in to the task at hand, which was running back at the time, and which is now. So I just really tried to be real confident in the position change.
And your coach talked about your work ethic. What has that work led to? Where have you improved the most, do you think, from the end of last season to right now?
Last year, I would say I improved drastically with recognition, just recognizing a whole lot of defenses and recognizing what the offense is doing and why we're doing the things that we're doing. So I feel like that's where I improved the most at. My talent has improved, I feel, as well. You know, just having the whole year under Coach Wade and his conditioning staff is just amazing. You know, they really push you beyond measures to be better than you can be the day before. So I feel like I improved and got better.
Well, Coach Ianni in that running backs room, I know, is very tight. And Coach Campbell talked about that, you know, that it would have been easy to go the other way when you guys are fighting for everybody wants the football. But you and Mike Warren have developed a great relationship. Tell me about that.
Mike he's an amazing and great person. You know, he's reached a lot of adversity, and he's overcame a lot of it. So I look at him as an idol to me because Mike, you know, he pushes me. I push him, he pushes me, but you know, him understanding that he could be my big brother and really being that guy to me really was flattering to me, and I respect it a lot.
You know, you and Deshaunte Jones, now Keontae Jones, come from Cincinnati to the Cyclone program, and coaches talked about, you know, wanting to be the Midwest option for the Big 12. Did it all kind of play out the way you had hoped as far as coming in from Ohio and maybe not knowing a lot about the Big 12, but finding out pretty quickly how exciting a conference this is?
Yeah, it was definitely pretty exciting. Just knowing we started that pipeline.
Yeah.
You know, me and Deshaunte came in, and then Keontae followed. And there's, it's just great. It's amazing that we were able to just start that, you know, and be more to come. So
yeah, Dan Sichterman. Yeah, we're going to keep it rolling. That'd be great. Well, David, I don't have any doubt you're going to have a great sophomore season, and I appreciate you taking some time. Good luck.
Thank you.
And congratulations on all the accolades so far, but let's keep it rolling, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, that sounds pretty good to me. All right, David Montgomery, our guest, and, you know, all three of the leading tacklers from the last 3 seasons will return to this Cyclone team. You can see Kamari Cotton-Moya led the Cyclones in tackles in 2014. Brian Peavy, 2 years ago, led the team with 82 tackles, and last year it was Willie Harvey with 78 tackles who led the team. All 3 guys back in this veteran defense for Iowa State, and that is exciting to think about. And visiting right now with Willie Harvey, who's still wearing that number 7. And how's the battle going? That's quite a campaign. Brian Peavy might be pulling ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, man. I mean, a group of guys just having fun, competing for a number. It's all jokes in the end, but it's been fun.
Tell me about this season for you, because you've been in the program now for a little while. But you're still just a junior. You've got more football ahead of you at Iowa State. And your role kind of changes this year from playing more Will to maybe playing more Sam, a position where you can maybe even make more plays.
Yeah, I mean, my coaches told me that. I mean, it was going to be a tough transition, I mean, but they saw potential in me, and they said I'm a good athlete. So just things like that. I mean, I'm the best man for the job, and I believe in what they do, so.
Well, we saw you have the ability when you rush the passer to get in there and create some pressure a year ago, and with some more big guys in front of you this season, I think there'll be more of those opportunities this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, a great group of D linemen. I mean, it's going to be exciting to watch, so I'm ready.
This linebacker group is going to be interesting to watch because all of a sudden we see Joel Lanning playing over on that side of the ball. We see the development of Marcel Spears, where he's moved into a starting role, at least number 1 on the depth chart right now. Yeah. What do you see from those 2 guys as you look around you in practice every day?
A lot of growth and development. I mean, those guys came a long way. I mean, from the beginning of spring practice until now. I mean, they don't have a hiccup in their game. They're playing pretty efficient. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, it's a new group of guys, but I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to do. So.
You know, Coach Campbell talked about in the offseason, he wanted to see that front 7 be a more physical group, and I think that's why we've seen Marcel move into that lineup, and he wants a more physical front 7. Do you see that? Do you feel like this will be a better group against the run this year because you're stronger up front?
I do.
Tell me about the reasons why. What do you see when you look out there and see that front 7?
I mean, the grit and the tenacity they show up front, I mean, it's like no other. I mean, and with that alone, I mean, there's room for improvement, but that alone just shows you how much we've improved and how much eagerness and eagerness they have up front and wanting to get to the quarterback and make plays.
You know, you're a guy that I always, when I watch you play, it's fun because you seem to be having so much fun out there. You're excited, and when you make a big play, it kind of energizes the sideline and energizes the crowd. What's it like to make that big sack or deflect a ball or make a big play that really gets the whole team going?
I mean, it feels good. I mean, me being such a leader on this team, I feel like that's one of my jobs, one of my roles. But, I mean, yeah, it feels good, but you don't want to get too ahead of yourself because it's just one play. But it does feel good. So.
Are you seeing a unity on this team that's maybe even stronger than it's been in past years? I know that every year teams feel close, but Coach Campbell talked about really a commitment from everybody to be close and be in this thing together. Do you notice that?
I do. I mean, we've done a lot of things together. I mean, offensively and defensively combined, and we usually never have done that in the past. And it's like everybody has brought into the process, and like we're one brotherhood, and no one's in cliques or no one's divided. So I feel like that's a big change for us.
It's going to be awesome to watch you play this year, Willie. I can't wait to see your season unfold. And we appreciate you taking some time this morning, and have a great junior year.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Willie Harvey, our guest. Up next, linebacker/quarterback Joel Lanning stops by, plus visits with cornerback Ryan Peavy and record-setting receiver Alan Lazard. You're watching Iowa State Football Media Day on Cyclones.tv.
Welcome to Toyota's National Clearance Event.
We love adventure and we want something safe.
RAV4 comes with Toyota Safety Sense Standard.
Just imagine the things we'll see.
Here we go. Oh, look at the zebras.
Oh, look at those two rhinos. Oh.
Are they?
Maybe the beach.
Love the beach.
Right now, you can lease a new 2017 RAV4 for $199 per month, or get $2,000 customer cash on a new RAV4.
Enjoy the sights.
Toyota, let's go places.
The 2017 Nissan Altima and the new 2017 Nissan Rogue. Cars that could help stop when you don't. Take on the unexpected. Nissan Rogue and Altima with available intelligent safety shield technologies. Get to Nissan, a proud partner of the Iowa State Cyclones.
Go Cyclones!
We're back at the Bergstrom football facility, and that is Alan Lazard, according to that jersey. But I don't know. It doesn't look like Alan Lazard as I sit next to him. I think I recognize this guy, but we're just going to call him Slash. Quarterback, linebacker, Joel Lanning. Not many guys have that heading, Joel, but you've embraced this this challenge, and it is a challenge, I'm sure, to make that position a linebacker. Give us a little update through the first week of practice, how it's gone for you.
You know, it's gone good. You know, I kind of left off where I left from the spring.
Yep.
You know, I felt pretty confident after the spring with what I was doing as a linebacker. So, I mean, first few days, like the first day, I would say was kind of rough, you know, trying to figure it out a little bit. But, you know, these second, third days, you know, I'm feeling pretty good with it, and now it's starting to just flow with me.
How much of your growth as a linebacker is dependent on what you've done in the offseason as far as film, and just kind of now trying to go apply that stuff onto the practice field that you've learned in the film room?
You know, I was in the film room a lot as a quarterback, and honestly, with the position change, I had to dig in even more. You know, I'm learning a whole new everything pretty much, whole different side of the ball, all new defensive plays. You know, so I had to do a lot of that, and just, you know, it helped me a lot as what I knew as a quarterback, you know, kind of taking it over. Also with my knowledge on the offense, knowing I didn't know what everyone was doing, so I have to know what everyone's doing now on the defense, and, you know, it's just kind of been my thing anyways. Makes it easier too. I can just react instead of think with what I'm doing. So
you've talked about how physically it's different, the feeling after a practice, and you still haven't experienced it yet after a game other than maybe the spring scrimmage, but I'm sure there's going to be adjustment there too.
Yeah, I mean, not getting touched all year, you know, getting hit 12 times a year, you know, it's pretty nice. And now I have to come to practice every single day ready to go. You know, getting in there, you know, hitting the line, guys that are bigger than you, making tackles, you know, so it's definitely going to be a big difference. You know, the physicality part is, I think, the biggest difference with everything about it. You know, I was pretty sore, you know, after games anyways, you know, not getting hit forever and then going out there and just getting drilled all the time. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to kind of see what I feel like the next day.
Coach talked today about the fact that you will continue to play offense. How are you approaching that mentally? Because I know you're not getting reps at quarterback right now. You will probably as camp goes on. But are you even thinking about the quarterback spot right now, or is it 100% thinking about linebacker?
No, 100% thinking about linebacker. You know, I come out here every single day, and I'm defensive mindset the whole time. You know, a few times in the spring, they called me over to play quarterback. You know, I had some fun with it. But I mean, that I know the offense still. You know, that's kind of in the back of my head right now. So if they were to call me over, you know, I still have a good feeling of what I'm doing, anyways. But right now, I mean, yeah, that's been the plan ever since the transition, that I was going to play some of the offense anyways. So I just been linebacker mindset the whole time.
All right, number 5. Thanks, man. Appreciate you taking some time. We'll see if he's wearing 7 when the season starts. So there's an ongoing battle for that number. But I want to tell you that 3 different Cyclones rushed for over 500 yards last year for the first time in school history. You see, Joel had 518 yards. David Montgomery led the way with 563. And Mike Warren had 559 yards last season. Now that kind of across the board rushing attack from the Cyclones might differ a little bit this year, with Montgomery and Warren probably getting more of the bulk of the duties, but we do still expect to see Joel Lanning some on offense as well. A guy that probably won't be playing a lot of offense this year, but they're counting on defense, is Brian Peavy, who I see is wearing the number 10. What's the deal with that? I thought you were trying to make the move to 7.
And I still am. Just being authentic. You know, you see a lot of guys wearing crazy numbers. I'm sticking to 7, though. I'm sticking to 7.
You're sticking with it.
Yeah. So.
Campaign's gone well, then.
Oh, yeah, campaign's going well. Go vote for me.
That's something folks can do. We were excited to see how you progressed as a player last year, Brian, and really every year that you've been in a Cyclone uniform, you've taken a step forward. What's the key to learning to become a great cornerback in the Big 12 Conference?
Just studying, experience, getting used to the game, being around players that played, being around coaches that can help, and reaching out and seeking that advice. So I know myself, I've reached out to former players, and just taking that knowledge to be a better cornerback. So.
You will have DeAndre Payne opposite you this year, and you two have a pretty close relationship. And tell me a little bit about that and how you guys kind of push each other.
Oh yeah, DeAndre Payne, considered like a brother. Basically, we push each other to a point where it gives us no choice but to be better. Like we call each other in the morning, make sure our day's getting started on time in the right way, make sure we have the right mind state, and just hanging out with him. He's a football fanatic, and we just make each other better with the conversations that we have about football. So.
You know, that secondary as a whole has a lot of experience with Kamari Cottonway back there, and Everett Edwards and Reggie Wilkerson have played some football. What do you see in that secondary as an entire group? Do you think you can maybe create more turnovers as a secondary this year?
Right. When I look at the secondary, I see playmakers. I see dogs. I see people that want to win and want to get after of it. I see speed. I see physicality, and I just see players that can make it happen.
You know, in that video we saw you a moment ago, we see you defending guys like D.D. Westbrook. There's so many great receivers in the Big 12 Conference every year. When you sign up to play corner in this league, you know you're going to get beat a few times. How important is it to have a short memory?
Oh, that's what we live by. Snap and clear.
Clear it out.
Yeah, snap and clear. So when the play happens, you automatically refresh to the next play, and you continue to play football. And like you said, it's the Big 12. I mean, they're here for a reason, and there's been great players lined up against me, and it's just competition, just compete.
Well, same high school that produced Brett Curvey, Houston Westfield High School. You know all about the Big 12 and what's exciting about this league. I like the fact that you like the challenge of going against those guys, and I'm expecting you to have a big junior year. But Brian, I appreciate you taking some time. It's always fun visiting with you.
Sir, thank you.
Brian Peavy, our guest. And look at this list. These are the top returning reception leaders, active players in the FBS, and number 2 on that list is Alan Lazard. Richie James, the wideout from Middle Tennessee State, 213 receptions as he returns this season. But look at Alan right there at 170 catches on his heels, and he's also on the heels of Todd Blythe for a lot of the school records at Iowa State. Will almost certainly catch them in receptions and total yardage. And then if he has just a tremendous season, might get the touchdown record as well. But he's wearing the Willie Harvey jersey, the number 7. It's confusing as heck for me today, Alan, to try to figure out who I'm talking to. Joel Lanning was wearing your jersey, but you guys are having some fun with what's kind of a fun deal. It should be.
Yeah, you got it. I mean,
are you campaigning now? Are you part of the campaign?
I am part of the campaign. I think I'm a dark horse right now.
Okay.
About 300 to 1 odds.
Okay.
But you know, that's a good bet.
That's
the way I see it.
That's good. Alan, you decided to come back to Iowa State, and everybody was excited about that. But the important thing is that you're excited about it, and it seems like you really are. You want to make the most of this senior year.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going out every day trying to have fun, trying to get better, trying to get my teammates better, to make sure that I leave Iowa State a better place than what I came into it as.
What are you seeing from that receiver group as a whole?
Leadership, being guys going out making plays. We only lost one guy from last year, and I think with that being said, that we have a lot of guys that have a lot of experience and that are pushing each other every single day.
What's the important thing for you to take that leap? And we talked to Brian Peavy yesterday, and he said, hey, I've seen Alan kind of carrying himself like a pro now. He's kind of made that jump mentally. What's the difference? What's changed?
I think, just buying into what Coach Campbell has been preaching to us. It took a while, especially for me. I was very hard-headed when he first came in, and kind of just understanding the culture he was trying to bring to Iowa State. And I think these past few months is when it's really picked up, just because I've been completely bought into it every single day. I'm looking to get better, understanding that it's a day to get better, not a day just to get by.
Well, teams can't have success unless seniors take ownership of that team. Have you noticed this group of seniors kind of saying, hey, this is our last go-around, this is our chance to do something special, you're a big part of that? Have you seen that in that locker room?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's been with a lot of young guys too. The guys that they brought in, you see the extra work that they're putting in as well. Just willingly,
yeah.
Not being guided by anyone, whether it's coaches or an upperclassman, that you can come here on any weekend night, any weekday night, and see that guys are putting in extra work because they want to be the best, make sure that we have success this season.
Hakeem Butler is a guy that maybe will play a bigger role this year. You've been around him. He's extremely talented. What can he bring to the table for this football team?
He brings a lot of laughs, I'll tell you that, especially in practice.
Okay.
But he's a very athletic player. At times he can be one of the best players on the field. He has a lot of strength and a lot of height, obviously, that he can bring to the table. And that, when those jump balls are given, he can come up and come down with almost any one of them.
Well, Lazard family is certainly familiar to Iowa State fans. Kevin Lazard, a captain. Alan Lazard, a captain. Anthony Lazard, part of our program as well. And you guys have been a really special part of Iowa State football, so it'll be great to see you have a special senior year. I hope it ends in a bowl game for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan, for taking the time. Alan Lazard, our guest. Coming up, Cyclone Radio Network analyst Eric Kapp gives us his thoughts on the upcoming season, and paying tribute to college football Hall of Famer Troy Davis. Stay with us.
It's been 60 years since I came up here to watch football. I've seen a hurricane that rocks and a tide that rolls. I've seen hustle, perseverance, and heart. I've seen a bowl of cotton that's anything but soft. Some call it hard work, determination, or grit. I call it blimp-worthy.
Well, there's Slash, Joel Lanning, as Media Day continues here inside the Bergstrom football facility, although the sun has now come out. And hopefully some sunny days ahead for Cyclone football. The season begins in 30 days, and here to wrap things up with us is the color analyst for the Cyclone Radio Network, Eric Heft. And Eric, we talk about optimism at this time of year. It's every year, but there's something about what Matt Campbell sees in this group of guys, and he said it in his press conference about the closeness of this group. He knows firsthand what that can lead to. You do too, as a former player of the Cyclone basketball program.
Year two is a big change from year one because there are a lot more knowns. You know who some of your guys are, your key leaders. and the players have had a chance to acclimate themselves to your staff and your whole way of doing business. Matt talks a lot about the process, and I know it can be a cliche, but that's really true. You've got to establish the way things are going to be, and you look at the pillars and the triangle. The top is legacy, and you just had Alan Lazard on too, and I know that's one of the things he's going to be looking at this year is to top that chart by leaving a legacy, a winning season. I know Matt talks more about process than actual results, but don't make any mistake. I mean, it's all about trying to get to a bowl game and build this program. And I like where the program's at right now. I think there are more. If you walk through and look at these guys and you look at their numbers, who was recruiting them, there are more Big 12 football players here that have been here at Iowa State in a long time.
As you look out at the football field and you see 11 offensive players and 11 defensive players for Iowa State, the closer you get to the football, I think the more question marks there are. There's a lot of established guys in the secondary and a receiver and quarterbacks back, but what are your thoughts on the offensive and defensive lines and their growth being really the key to this season being a success?
Obviously, the strength of each side of the football is at the back end, whether it be the backfield on offense and receivers and the defense secondary for Iowa State on defense. But there's a lot of ways to get to point A or point B, but even in a pass-happy league, if you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run, you're going to have a hard time. You're not going to have success. I like the potential of the offensive line. I love the fact that Tom Manning is back. He's done a terrific job. He's got to put some pieces together, but he's got some good pieces to start with. I think one of the big things, the move of Robbie Garcia from defense to offense kind of solidifies that spot. Hopefully the growth of Bryce Meeker into a full-time starter this year can be huge, because I don't think there are too many question marks about Jake Campos, or Julian Good-Jones. So there's a little more depth there. On the defensive side of the ball, more Big 12 size athletic guys that you've had in the past. I think you look at Ray Lima, Vernell Trent, you got Jamal Johnson, Matt Leo, these guys inside. Iowa State has gone a lot of times with smaller defensive ends, but Jaquan Bailey wasn't that big last year. He's big right now. Wazirike, very big. I mean, they can play big on the edge if they need to, but question marks in terms of they haven't had the experience for the most part, but I think these are very talented players, and if they're good, I think Iowa State could have a great chance. Linebackers an area, though, I think maybe of concern. Not a lot of depth there, and I think Joel's going to take a great step, like Willie Harvey, but we haven't seen Joel play that position before. I have tremendous confidence in him, but reality is, we don't really know for sure what we're going to get there.
There's some questions to be answered, no question about that. But, a year ago at this time, Jacob Park had the mumps and wasn't even practicing yet. And
coming off a spring of play of church league football.
Right. So to do what he did last season was really maybe an undertold story. It was pretty remarkable what he did. How big a leap do you think he can take this year?
I think he's just so much more comfortable with what they're trying to do. He understands it so much more. Even though he went to Georgia, never played there, it's a huge step he took last year. And how important were those 5 games he started a year ago to give him a real chance to get a feel for the flavor and the speed and how everything happens. I think if you look at what he can do, I think a 3,000-yard passing season would be certainly within the realm of possibility. And he's got the receivers to make it happen. He's got great touch. He's got great arm strength to make all the throws. And once again, it'll be, as much as anything, confidence in making quick decisions. Pre-read snaps are going to be huge for him, just like it is for any quarterback. But I think he's got the tools. Physically, he's got all the tools and people to throw to.
Well, including tight ends, which Iowa State used to have Colin Franklin and Ernst Brunn and E.J. Bibbs. They all came in a row, and there was such a great threat at that position. And they haven't had as much of a pass receiving threat at that tight end position. Do you think Chase Allen, Dylan Sainer, some of these young guys can maybe improve the effectiveness of that group?
I don't think there's any question. There were 7 catches last year, which is an improvement of 1 over the year before. So they were improved last year from a production standpoint, John. Yeah, of course. You got a guy who's a highly recruited guy. Chase Allen's the guy getting all the pub right now. But I think if you look at some of those guys, like Sainer in particular, tight ends play a big part in the run game too. And I think Iowa State can be better as a blocking spot at the tight end. But catches, absolutely. Targets, 6'6", 6'7", these two tight ends, we really haven't had that size there before. It helps that they're athletic as well.
Let's take a look at the schedule, Eric, because I think what's so important for Iowa State this year is to get off to a good start. We didn't see it a year ago. They struggled in the loss to Northern Iowa, really shooting themselves in the foot a lot in that game. Struggled against Iowa. Getting off to a good start this year, vital if this team's going to reach a bowl game.
Well, no question. You know, you got UNI. You should be able to win that game. However, UNI's coming in here with the attitude, of course, they can beat Iowa State. They've done it a number of times. You got to be ready to go, and that's one of my. I think Iowa State, in terms of offensive and defensive fronts, they're going to get better over the course of the season. Well, they've got 30 days from now to get better before that UNI game because they've got to do a solid job there. Iowa is here this year. It was a mismatch last year. I think this team is ready to accept that challenge. I look for a great game there. Akron, they're one of the favorites to win their division of the MAC under Terry Bowden. So, challenging non-conference schedule, especially with the Akron game being on the road. After that, then you're into the Baton Death March, 9 straight Big 12 games against great opponents.
Yeah, we're the only ones that can look that far ahead, maybe fans. But one thing we want to look ahead to as well is something that's coming up on Cyclones.tv here in the next few days. We will have Troy Davis, Cyclone legend. Take a look.
Troy Davis all the way.
Dream, dream, dream. That's all I love to do with this dream. But this dream here came true.
He ran for 2,000 yards twice in 11 games.
No defense couldn't stop number 28. And they knew that I was carrying the ball.
Troy's a phenom. Just simply the toughest individual I have ever played with.
Not every game was on TV, so Troy Davis was a mystery.
So you didn't see him play. So it was almost like this mythical figure in college football.
Anybody who saw him knew how good he was.
I have not covered a better individual story from start to finish than the Troy Davis story.
I've seen it all today.
Our friends at B&G Productions and Ames did a great job putting this together. It is Troy Davis, Cyclone legend, and it will debut this coming Monday, August 7th at 6 o'clock on Cyclones.tv. We will air it several times throughout August and then the coming months as well as Troy Davis goes in the College Football Hall of Fame just this past year. And Eric, you got to broadcast every game of that remarkable career. What a special talent, probably the best in Iowa State football history.
No, probably. Tremendous. He had a decent offensive line, but, man, he made plays time after time. It didn't really matter what had to be done. He found a way to do it. They knew it. Some people say, well, his numbers were padded a little bit. Well, he was equally good in the first half versus the second half. Only had one game where he didn't rush for 100 yards over 2 seasons. That was '89. He still averaged almost 5 yards a carry in that game. So he was terrific, consistent. For a guy of his stature, 5'8", he punished the tackler more than any running back I've seen of that size. And he was unbelievable. He could make you miss, but if he got to the point where he's going to hit me, no, I'm going to hit him first. And great back, great representative of Iowa State, and really thrilled that he's in the College Football Hall of Fame.
So deserving and so durable, and as we talked, we did about 30 interviews, I think, for this special, but we talked to Steve Loney, we talked to Dan McCartney. They said after he goes for 378 against Missouri, he's winning every sprint the next day in practice. That's Troy.
One of the hardest workers you've ever seen. I think that really, I think Matt made the comment today, it's great when your best player is also the hardest worker, and that was certainly the case when Troy Davis was here at Iowa State.
No question about that. Eric, can't wait for the season. Thank you for taking some time today.
I'm fired up.
Appreciate it. And don't forget, the first game is coming up 30 days from now. It'll be against UNI on September 2nd. You'll be able to see it right here on Cyclones.tv with Brent Bloom and Sage Rosenfels on the call. We appreciate you watching our coverage of Cyclones Football Media Day. Here are all the people that made this program possible.